Hey everyone, it's Hugh Culver, the author of Give Me a Break, and in this video I want to talk about procrastination. Now I know we could all make a little joke about maybe we'll do this later, but I think this is important enough, so I'm going to keep on rolling. So what is it about procrastination? Well, first of all, we all do it. We all procrastinate. I procrastinate. I'm sure you procrastinate. I'm sure Gandhi procrastinated. We all procrastinate. So what I wanted to find out, because it happens to me so often in my life where I put off things, why is it that I keep doing it? And more importantly, what is it that I can do to stop procrastination? You know, if you're working for a company or a nonprofit organization, or maybe you're self-employed, procrastination is a problem because you're usually procrastinating about important things. So for me, it was that phone call to that client to resolve the issue, or the phone call to get the client. It was dealing with that sort of sticky issue with the staff person, you know, to talk about their performance, or that thing that happened last week. Or it's procrastination about dealing with some financial issue, or going to talk to the bank, or it's procrastination about taking care of myself and my health. You know, one of the questions I commonly ask audiences is, do you work through your breaks? And it's amazing for me to see people put their hands up, oh, I work through my breaks. It's almost like they're proud of it. You know, it's crazy to be thinking that that is something that you want to procrastinate about, is taking your breaks. You know, then I ask them a second question. Okay, so if you had a new employee working here, what would you advise them to do? Would you advise them to work through your breaks? No, of course not, they say. No, of course we tell them to take their breaks. So how ridiculous is this, that on one hand, they work through their breaks, but on the other hand, they wouldn't recommend someone does. Well, why is that happening? It's because they're procrastinating. There they are at their desk, I'm sure, working hard, getting stuff done, and then their mind thinks, I should take a break. You know, it's like 2:30 or 10:30. I should take a break. Like I should, you know, it's time for me to take a break. And then as soon as that thought comes up, they say to themselves, they say, yeah, but. Oh, you know, yeah, but I got so much to do. Man, if I just keep on going, I'll get so much more done. Or it wouldn't look good. You know, my whole team is working so hard. How would that look if I went outside for a walk? But that's crazy. You know, the reality is, we need our breaks, just as we need our clients, just as we need our health, just as we need our wealth. So in this video, I want to talk about, well, if we keep procrastinating and we don't want this to continue for however long, the rest of our career, the rest of our life, so what is it that we have to do? Well, I've got an insight for you that I think is going to make a dramatic difference to how you think about procrastination. And then I'm going to give you a homework assignment at the end. So first of all, let's look at some research. So Dr. Ferrari from the DePaul University in Chicago, he says there's 3 things that people typically think about when they procrastinate. First of all, they overestimate how much time it will take to get the task done. So there they are thinking about getting their taxes done, which, by the way, most people procrastinate about, despite the fact that they were fined in the previous year, they still procrastinate. Or there they are thinking about taking a break, for example. And or they're thinking about this report they've got to finish, or they're thinking about these client phone calls they've got to do. He says, Dr. Ferrari says, we overestimate how long it will take. So we think, oh my goodness, you know, a break is 15 minutes, I don't have 15 minutes. Or you think, oh, if I put that meeting together, it's going to take over an hour, and I don't have an hour. Or boy, to make all these client phone calls, that's going to take me hours. And so that's the first thing we do. The second thing that we do is we underestimate how easy it is to get started. So we think, you know, oh, we got to have like all the perfect conditions. You know, it's got to be just right for us, so that we have, you know, everything in place, so that we actually, I have the, you know, it's the perfect time of the day, and I have the right energy for it. And the third thing he says is that we put too much weight on how we feel. He says we put too much weight on feeling it's the right time. It's feeling like it's the perfect time to go for that exercise, the perfect time to go to talk to those clients. So we have this delusion that's always going on, which helps us to procrastinate, but does not help us to get our results. So what I want to share with you is a really simple model, and I think it's going to help you to understand why you do it and more importantly, how to stop doing it so you can get more of what you want. So the first thing to understand is you're not a procrastinator. So this may come as a bit of a shock because you may have been called a procrastinator, or you may even have labeled yourself as a procrastinator, but you're not a procrastinator. You see, even when you don't take a break, you're actually doing something. So you're not a procrastinator. You're just doing something different than what you should be doing. Even when you don't make those calls to those clients, you're not a procrastinator. You're just doing something differently. When you come home and your thought was to go for a walk and get some exercise, or get on your bike or go for a swim, and then you come home and decide, I think I need to just sit down for a while and read a magazine or just have a snack, and suddenly all that exercise is out the window. You're not procrastinating, you're just choosing something differently. So here's a new definition for you. You're not a procrastinator, you just make bad choices. So you're not a procrastinator, because that's such a negative label. You just make bad choices. So therefore, the way to get more of what you want is to simply make better choices. You see, you're doing something anyways. All you need to do is find a way to do more of what you want. So let me show you what I mean. We all have this sort of mental evaluation, if you will, going on in our mind all the time, especially when it comes to making a decision. And it's like an old-fashioned scale. So, it's like a kind of scale that they used to use for weighing gold. The gold miners would use for weighing gold, or the old pharmacies would use for weighing the medicine that they were selling. And so you have these dishes that sit on either side of the scale. Now we're going to label these dishes doing and avoiding. Okay, so the dish that's high, the lighter one, is doing. And the dish that's low is avoiding. All right. So what is happening when you procrastinate is there is more payoff to avoiding than there is for doing. So what's happening when you procrastinate, like you come home and instead of going for that walk or that swim or that bike ride, you put your feet up and read a magazine, is that you are getting more payoff by avoiding. In other words, it feels good to do that. When you don't make those calls to those clients, you are escaping, feeling uncomfortable, being rejected and getting a no, having someone say that they can't help you right now because they're too busy. You're avoiding that uncomfortableness, and so what happens is you don't do it. So the trick, you see, to procrastinating, because you're going to do something anyways, the trick to procrastinating is we have to come up with a way to get a bigger payoff for doing. See, so when that happens, it tips the scale. And now what's happening is doing gets more of a payoff. Very fancy scale. So what's happening is I'm getting bigger payoff. So how do I do that? Well, what we have to do is we have to think ahead. We have to premeditate. This is probably something I'm going to procrastinate about. It's 11 o'clock, it's an hour before lunch, I really need to phone these clients, oh my goodness, they're probably really busy, maybe I'll wait till the afternoon, but if I do that, then that's usually maybe when they go out, or my energy's not as good. So you start to come up with all these stories. You can feel it happening. At that moment, you need to come up with what's the payoff. You need to come up with what's the payoff for doing. So, won't it feel great to cross it off your list? Won't it feel great to know that you overcame your procrastination and you got it done and you moved that project forward? Won't it feel great when you come back for your bike ride and you've got new energy? Won't it feel great if you actually avoided your email for a whole hour and actually got that report done? Won't it feel great if you had that tough conversation and you actually were able to cross it off your list and you're actually able to move that whole relationship forward? So we are always making up stories. It's human nature. And that story is either going to serve us and lead to the kind of action that's going to give us the results we want, or it's going to be the kind of story that doesn't serve us and leads to the action that we don't want. The choice is always ours right at that moment. So here is the solution. If you want to move from avoiding and procrastinating to doing and getting more of what you want, in whatever area, whether it's your family or your fitness or your health or your future, your wealth or your clients, whatever it is, you have to have a payoff. The brain is very binary. I'm either getting what I want or I'm getting something else. And so if I want to give it something, a payoff that's going to make this happen, then I have to think of it in advance. So for me, I love crossing stuff off my list. I love rewarding myself for getting a big project finished by going out and walking around the block and then getting myself a nice cup of tea to bring back to the office. I love rewarding myself by just taking a half hour to go and read a magazine and to get, some entertainment or something that is completely distracting from my normal work. That's my reward for doing it, for pushing through. When I come home, and I'm thinking, I don't really feel like going for a run, or I really don't feel like, a workout right now, but I know I need to do it. I know that that's my commitment. I know that that's my goal. Before I get out of my car, I have to have the payoff. I have to convince myself that there is a reward waiting for me, and it certainly won't be, a crowd of people applauding as I come back into my driveway. I have to create the reward. So I have to envision how good it's going to feel, not only, physically, emotionally, how good that's going to feel, but to write in my calendar that workout. Because that little journaling is what gives me a lot of reward, because that journaling in the calendar tells me I kept my commitment. So here's your homework. Your homework is to look at something that you typically procrastinate about. And that could be around money. It could be around your fitness, your education. It could be around your work success. It could be around writing and journaling. It could be around tough conversations. Find one thing that you typically procrastinate about and you want to change that. Like you really do want a different outcome. And then create a new payoff. So what's the payoff? What is the reward that I'm going to create for myself? And I'm not talking about, although this wouldn't be bad, a big bar of chocolate. It could just be the kind of reward you get by crossing it off your list. The satisfaction of knowing that you did it. So create that reward and really let it soak in. Like really imagine owning that. It's like that new car. Imagine how nice that's going to feel. And so the next time that procrastination starts to creep up, remind yourself that actually there's a payoff for doing, and then step into it and get it done. Okay, I hope that serves you, and I hope you do your homework, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks.